Manoel Theatre is Malta's historical theatre. It opened in 1732 and has been in use ever since. The theatre originally was constructed within pre-existing buildings which were demolished to accommodate the new functions. Commissioned by the Grand Master de Valletta, the theatre was then modified throughout the 18th century and the 19th century to accommodate the new needs of the performing art. In the late 90s, AP got involved in the refurbishment of the theatre. The initial project was to create a master plan to manage, expand and consolidate the functions of the theatre and of the cultural productions performed and created at the theatre. In the last 25 years, the theatre has embarked on implementing that master plan with various projects, including the construction of the backstage, the refurbishment of offices and administration, the creation of a VIP room, and more recently the introduction of a climate control system in 2018 and 2019. In parallel, works on the historical fabric was ongoing, including the restoration of the facade. As I mentioned previously, the theatre was housed or is housed in pre-existing buildings, and therefore the facade wasn't designed to be as a ground building. We actually suspect that the facade was a re-employ of the building that predated the Manoel Theatre. In 2013, the restoration project of the facade started properly with historical research, archival research, on-site archaeology, and work started on-site in 2016. We have now restored the building as we think it was at the construction time in the 18th century. The most important intervention on the facade was the recreation of architectural animation. So we recreated moldings, we recreated the size and the proportions of the openings, reinserted columns on the facade at ground floor, as well as the balcony.
When we took on the exercise to designing the railing for the reconstructed balcony, we looked back to the drawings from the Cabrio de Valletta, which showed a railing with a balustrade shape. So what we did is we reinterpreted that balustrade shape into a wrought iron railing. So what you can see from the front is the balustrade, the shape of the balustrade, which is fragmented into 3 different layers of wrought iron, which then were fixed together to form the railing that we have today. So when you look at it from the front, you can see the shape of the balustrade. However, as you walk down the slope of the theatre street, or from different angles, you can see a different play, a different perspective or a different visual of the railing. However, as you see it from the front, you can imagine, reinterpret what the balustrade would have looked like.
In the early stages of the investigations on the facade, we found few remains. However, the more important modifications on the internal spaces of the theatre are not as well documented, and we are still currently carrying out research to try and consolidate the historical evolution of the building. We have decided to use BIM to be able to record both the transformation of the building as well as historical information. So the model in itself becomes the link to the database of information that we have, showing the building as it was and as it has been transformed throughout its history. One of the many challenges of working in a theatre, in a historical theatre, is to adapt the fabric or to adapt the uses of the theatre to the new performing needs. So the new technologies are always introduced, larger stages, larger groups. So it has modified what the Baroque theatre was originally, but at the same time managed to do it while keeping the essence of that building still very much present.